Happy Sabbath, brethren. Happy Sabbath to those of you worshiping with us at home. I hope you all had a great week. Brethren, to start today's Sabbath service, please rise with me with your Bible hymn. Please rise with me to our first hymn of today. Come with me to page hymn 9.
I will sing, O Most High, praises to the name with my whole heart, and proclaim thy wonders great. I will rejoice and exult in thee. My foes fall on thy side, for thou art maintained my cause and my cry. God will judge from his throne, he shall remain forevermore. I will rule uprightly, judge the world in righteousness. The oppressed will seek him, even to them a refuge be. For the Lord will not forget those who put their trust and confidence in him. To the Lord sing his praise, declare his works to all nations. The Most High in Zion dwells, he will not forget his people. They declare his great works, and he will not forget their pride. Rise, O Lord, to the morning fear of the nations, and forget that thou art God. Judge them, Lord, in thy sight. Let the nations know they are God's men.
Well, for our second hymn of today, please turn with me to hymn 79. Hymn 79. Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for his mercy endures forever. Psalm 136, verse 1. His mercy never fails.
Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, give thanks unto the Lord of hosts. He performs wonderful works, he spread the heavens above the sea. Give thanks to God, for he is good. He who alone doeth great works, his kindness shall always endure. His mercies never fail. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for it was he who made great light. For the day he made the sun, and for the night the moon and stars. Give thanks to God, for he is good. He who alone doeth great works, his kindness shall always endure. His mercies never fail. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord. He struck at Egypt's stubborn pride. Their firstborn he took in wrath. He led his people through the sea. Give thanks to God, for he is good. He who alone doeth great works,
for our third hymn, please turn with me to hymn 52. Hymn 52. Let us come before his presence with thanksgiving. Psalm 95 verse 2. After this hymn, I beg you to call on Mr. Moses Wala for the opening prayer. Oh, come and let us worship him.
Our joyful voices raise, in joyful shout let us the rock of our salvation praise. Before his presence let us come with praise and thankful voice. Let us sing psalms to him with praise and make a joyful noise. For God Almighty, God and King, above all gods he is. The depths of earth are hidden and the strength of hills is his. To him the spacious sea belongs, for he loves indignant. The dry land also from his hand is from our first victim. Oh, come and let us worship him. Let us bow down with awe and honor him before the Lord our Maker. Let us fall, because he only is our Lord, and with his people are, and of his pasture we are sheep. In his mighty care.
Our Father in heaven, once again we appreciate you, give you all praises for the opportunity to be in your presence, to worship you and to learn from your words. We thank you for the past week, we thank you for the past days, we thank you for how you have been protecting us in the midst of the pandemic that is currently raging in the world. Thank you for being our guide, for being our God, for providing for us, for blessing our lives. Thank you for healings. We thank you for breakthrough. We thank you for all the good things you've done for us. We are here once again. We pray that you take absolute control of everything we do today. We pray that you speak to us in your word and help us to put the words into it. Those our brethren that are old too, we pray that you also be with them and the blessings of the Sabbath you share unto all of us. At the end of the day, we have the cause of for your name. Thank you, Father, because you answer our prayers, because you have prayed in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Brethren, please remain standing, for there will not be someone's message. For our fourth hymn of today, please turn with me to hymn 123. 123. I will sing and give praise. Psalm 57 verse 7. Wake my heart.
Wake my heart, oh wake my heart, I will awaken the dawn and sing their praising, songs praising from this hour on. Wake my heart, oh wake my heart, I will arise and sing, declare the glory of his name to every living thing. Every land must hear the word, all of the world must know. The King will come sing like a deer. Then the desert shall rejoice, blossoming as the rose. For water shall burst forth and gladden everything that grows. Then the dead in Christ shall rise, God will awaken his own. Together we shall reign on earth before Christ's glorious throne. All the earth at last shall know, all of the nations shall see, an age of love and joy and light and peace and harmony.
You may have your seat. For the sermon, for the main announcement and the main message of today, we are clearly to call on our pastor, Mr. Ojari Akimbo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Favor Koro, for your maiden something. The young shall grow. God is always happy. At every opportunity we have to serve Him. Good morning, brethren, viewers at home, various places. I hope your week, as I always say, went well. And by going well, you are alive. This morning, you woke up on your own strength. That is, nobody had come wake you up with a prod. You are able to eat, to move. You are able to dress, and you are in control of your faculty. It's really a good day then. And we can always, no matter what, continue to be able to give thanks to God. I do not have much announcements, except that let's keep praying for one another, remembering the troubled, trying times that we're in, asking for God to keep on strengthening, to encourage us, and to continue to allow us all to keep on keeping the faith, even as the world continues to reel in the face of this pandemic. I'd like to ask that we all try to take note of what is happening around us. There have been rumors, I don't know how many of you have heard about it, that the schools will soon be open at one time or the other. But finally, it's been confirmed that the JS3, the SS3, as well as those in technical 3 as a college, those who are going to do some major exam, going to another class. The JS3 are doing a major exam to go to SS1. And the SS3, they are WIEC that should have been done by this month. They're just going to be preparing for it. So they have been asked to resume. Schools have been asked to resume on the 3rd of August. On the 3rd of August. Again, it's only the junior secondary school 3 and the senior secondary school 3, as well as the technical people are to resume on that period. Let's keep praying and asking that the leaders that we have will continue to make decisions that are rational and are also sensible, and not just motivated probably by fear, panic, or politics. Again, I want to encourage us to keep on doing our best to eat well, to boost our immunity, taking in quite a number of foods rich in vitamin C that will help boost our immunity. I've mentioned several times that the trend normally taken by the world in terms of coping with infectious diseases is when the community develops immunity. vaccine or treatments do have their roles, but they have not always been the ones that have saved man from various infectious diseases. We can list a number of diseases and some deadly infectious diseases that have been around for decades. Even the common cold, flu shots, and those countries where they take it, they still have to take it every year. The solution is in the population developing herd immunity. That happens if all of us do our part to be as healthy as we can in terms of what we eat, and also taking things that will increase our natural immune system. And we get stronger when we actually are interacting with the environment, not frankly isolating ourselves too much. But at this time, with the way the pandemic is spreading and the fear it's causing, let's still look at all the guidelines we've given and do our best to follow them without being unduly panicked, but knowing that the source of our protection and our health and safety really lies in God. We'll do our part, but ultimately it's in God's hand. Okay. We need to move this back a little bit. Just the screen. No, the screen. Okay. Good morning, brethren.
Good morning, sir.
Sabbath shalom. I'm sure all of us, at one time or the other, have left our environments, our homes where we live, and we're taking journeys to some states. And in case you haven't journeyed interstate, perhaps we have moved around areas that are not in the cities, maybe in some towns, places that are not fully developed. For example, in Ikeja, that's a city. Victoria Island, it's a city, but there are parts of Ikoyi going towards Aja, and around these places, maybe Kotun, Igodo, Ijegun, places that are still developing. Even sometimes moving from one part of the state to another less developed state that is not the commercial center. You will have seen sites of buildings that have been started and have not been completed. You can identify some that are in progress. That is, they've started building this up, they work on this building. But it's still being done. You'll see workers still working there. You will see scaffoldings being put around it. And you will know that, okay, this is still being done. Work continues on this building. And it could take maybe, depending on how quickly or how much funds is available to the people building, it could be a couple of months to a couple of years. The fastest I have seen a building go up, a 2-story building, ground floor, first floor, second floor, was the whole thing was put together in 3 months. We have heard that in China, during the pandemic, they built a multi-story, over 1,000-bed hospital in how many days? Is it 9 days or so they built it? So all of us will have been familiar with seeing projects or buildings that have been started and are not completed. Some of them have been abandoned for years, decades. You'll see by the green algae or moss that's growing on it, and the walls or the bodies of the existing block structure already falling down or holes for marking it. Even this place where we're standing, when it was initially purchased, the fence that was put around it, you could see it's been there for years. Not too far from us here, you can see a building also that has been there probably for decades. And even in the place where I grew up, I still move around and I can still see buildings that have been started but have not been completed. So incomplete projects are not new. What of in our individual personal lives? Incomplete project. Things we started this project and we couldn't finish it. Years ago, and this is quite funny when you think about it, I decided to invest in a home gym equipment, a home gym machine, so that I could exercise in the house, maintaining a good, healthy body, toning my muscles, and try to make sure I do not add too much fat around the body. Living healthy, involves also exercising, isn't it? The more you exercise, your heart, which is muscle, is able to be strong enough to continue to function the way it's supposed to be. It clears our systems of waste product. So exercise and being healthy is good. So I thought of that, and at a time when there wasn't, as if it was a cheap thing, there was a promotion going on at ShopRite, and they were selling this gym machine. And I looked at the cost. It's about half of what it normally would cost. And I said, wow, this is something I should be able to invest in. So I went ahead and I bought. Before then, I used to go to a gym somewhere not too far from where I work. I was actually a nutrition consultant in that gym. And that was what got me interested in something like that. And so I invested in this gym machine, and I got it in house. And the aim was to keep on working on it. And I used to for a while. And then I got busy and I wasn't. And then one day I stood in front of a mirror and I could see that my side is coming out a bit. I looked at it. Something extra is coming there. I pinched the skin of my tummy and it's like a big flap of momo. And I said, okay, I need to bring this tummy down. I need to work on these love handles. Well, I have the machine in the house and I decided this is what I wanted to do. You cannot tell me, obviously, it's an incomplete project. About a month ago, Bobby and I decided to start again. And Bobby was my champion. Daddy, we need to work out, okay? Let us do this. Early in the morning, she will wake me up and say, Daddy, let's go up to the gym. And she'll be the one telling me, oh, yeah, do this one. You have to do 10 sets. And then you do it 2 times. So this one now, let's switch to this one. Let's switch to this one. After 3 or 4 days, I started, my hand, I woke up. I'm familiar with that. You know, I was lifting my hand cannot come like this. My body, there was eggs all over. I said, you know what, let's wait a bit. We'll start next week. It's 2 months now. 2 months. We started, but I could not continue and finish it. Even yesterday, she was telling me, Daddy, we are going to start this thing this night or tomorrow. We are going to start. So the subject of starting something and seeing it through and finishing it to the end is what I want to talk about today. And that's why I titled this sermon, The Power to See Things Through. The power to see things through. See, the same spirit or the same requirements that makes us start something obviously is not the same as what will make us finish it. Starting is not the biggest or the most important part of what we want to do in life, isn't it? Finishing, seeing it through, is when things are proper and complete. So what it is that we need to have to be able to see things through. And this is important to us as Christians. We might have the understanding and the knowledge that God loves us. We might know and understand that we are favored, special to God. We might understand and recognize the fact that the little resources we have or our small, insignificant, unpopular status does not make us less valuable to God. We might be aware of those strategies and principles we need to use to live an abundant life now. We might be totally aware of the things that God is offering us, the reward He has prepared for us. You know, the scripture says, eye hasn't seen, ear has not heard, and the mind of man has not even conceived the things that God has prepared for us. But the Bible did say again that God does not do anything without revealing it to those who are His prophets. And we know in a glimpse, in a small way that we can comprehend, that God indeed has a lot for us. The scripture says, the heavens declare the glory of God. And yet it says this entire cosmos, they are waiting with eager longing for the manifestation of the sons of God. So what God offers us and all of this can be known by us. And this can make us, and often makes human beings choose to embrace and adopt to live and to walk with God. But the energy, the resources, the drive, and the spirit with which we started is often different and requires something extra to maintain and be able to see to the end. Let me give you a couple of stories on how, even on a daily basis, people have often started a project or have started something and they'll see it through. When you compare those things that make people start and finish, and you look at what make people start and not finish, they have done studies. Sociologists have done studies about this. Now they are doing studies to determine, but the scripture has already put in place, because it's the instruction manual for we human beings, those things that we need to have, and examples we can look at that can let us see what we need and what is important, what is required to actually start and see things through. There's a story written by a man called Robert Curson. And it's the story of a man called Mike May. And the book is Crashing Through. That's the title of the book, Crashing Through. Mike May had a freak accident, so to say, an unfortunate accident that blinded him at the age of 3 years old. 3 years old, was blinded. But he had a mother. He had parents who chose to not allow him to be limited by that limitation, that accident, that he was blind, and committed to getting him to be the best he can be. And they worked on his mind, on his mental capacity, despite the fact that he has lost a physical organ. Mike May grew up to become a 3 times Paralympics gold medalist. 3 times Paralympic gold medalist. He had the record holder in downhill speed skiing. No skiing, on a snowy slope. When you wear all this cold weather equipment and put on these heavy snowshoes and go on the ski, then you have this ski, whatever in your hand, and you are pushing yourself down a steep slope, and then you keep going around like this, you keep skiing down. So they have this sport called high-speed, high-heel speed skiing. This blind man held the world record in downhill high-speed skiing. He invented a GPS global positioning system that the blind can wear that will allow them to be able to locate places and move around. He was also a co-inventor of the world's first laser turntable. Those old music they used to play with that has this round record plate. You put it on top of it and something will come and then it's playing. He was a co-inventor of the first one. He's also an adventurer. I had a mud hut in Ghana that I often goes and spend a couple of months over there. He's married to a beautiful blonde wife. And he was also a former CIA agent. And at 46, this guy had accomplished a lot. When he was growing up, and that's why the name Crashing Through was given to that book, he would play baseball. He would play football with his mates, with his friends. Now this guy is blind and is playing football. And he's running, he cannot see the ball. He has to try and hear as it is going. And people will describe it to him, turn left, to the left, and he's running. And he's running at full speed, and he will hit a block, he will hit a tree, he will crash into things, and he will bounce back. He had bruises all over his body growing up. But the thing is, he will stand up and go right back into the game. He never quitted his life on anything. And because he didn't have this habit of quitting, or he didn't have this mindset of giving up, he had a staying power that everything he started, he was able to finish them. He could push through and see things through. It's an interesting book if you can get that book, Crashing Through, by Robert Curson. I'll give you another example. In 1999 June, 3 young men went into the Yosemite Valley in the UK, in US, New York, to go and do a little bit of climbing. 21-year-old, 20-year-old, and 22-year-old. 3 good friends who met in university and they're undergraduates. So they went doing some rock climbing. Now, when I was learning rock climbing, our former senior pastor who taught me rock climbing also taught me how to belay. When you are climbing, you have someone who is climbing on the rock face. And the person has a rope on his body attached to a harness. We use this as a good lesson for years at youth camp here in Nigeria to teach some of our kids some basic principles. And there's someone on the ground who is called the belayer. The belayer attaches a rope to what's called an ATC on his belt, and the rope goes to the person who is climbing. And he has to take the rope and turn it back through the brakes and hold his hand in what is called the brake position. The ATC is a small device, but by the rope going through it, and you turn it and bring it, there are ragged edges on the point where it curves. So when you turn the rope and you put your hand like this, it forms a form of a brake. So it will not just be sliding through the loop. So the person climbing, you have to constantly keep watching him. And as climbing, you keep releasing more rope to him. As you are releasing rope, you quickly put your hand in the brake position. It was drummed into me, as it was drummed into all these people learning the players. Never take your hand off the brake. Keep your hand always in the brake position. Because while you are doing the blade, you can't get distracted. The person who is climbing, his life is in your hand, literally. One time when I was learning, when Mr. Mickelson was teaching me, when he was teaching me rock climbing and how to be a belayer, he had me belay and he was watching me constantly. And then one time he said, "Now, are you sure you are good for this?" I said, "I'm good. Let us climb." And then he started climbing and I was belaying. And of course, as I was climbing, he was talking and asking questions, we were gisting. And then deliberately threw himself off the rock face. My hand was in the brake position, so he didn't fall down. I asked him what happened. Oh, he said he was testing me. Well, one time we were at camp and I was climbing. And it was my sister-in-law who was belaying. And I fell off the rock face. And I was coming down, she was the one belaying. She had her hand in the brake position. My weight, probably 3 times her weight, because she was slim. And even though she was in the lock position, my weight was pulling her forward towards the rock face. Again, that scenario was always taught to those who are belaying. And she did what was again required. She held her hand in the brake position, never let go. And as she was moving towards the rock face, of course, she was going to go there and hit her face on the rock face. She did the normal thing. And she pulled up her leg, and she put her leg when she was close to the rock, and she stopped me. And I stopped. And I had come down probably about 4 or 5 feet as I was coming back. And then I could get back on the rock. So that is something that is taught to those who are belaying. Always put your hand on the brake position. What if you start learning how to belay? And along the line, the tendency that you have a fly coming on your face and you want to swat the fly away. Or you have an ant crawling on your leg and you decided to quickly remove the ant. So many things could happen that you want to take your hand off the brake hand. Okay? It requires a kind of spirit to learn the lesson and be able to see things through. Anyway, back to the story in Yosemite. June 1999, Peter Turbush and 2 friends were there. He was a belayer. 20-year-old Peter Turbush. 20-year-old. Not 40 years old. Not 45 years old. So he's not super mature and old. Okay? 20 years old. But he has learned how to be a belayer. And his other friend was climbing and the other one was on the ground. And then over 500-ton rocks went up about 1,000 feet up on the rock face and started tumbling down. So it was tumbling down, it was hitting other rocks and bringing out more blocks. One man described the size of the rock as the size of a train boxcar, like maybe a 40-foot container size rocks, coming down and hitting other ones and breaking other ones off. The young man climbing was trying to quickly move up to a secure position and maybe he could hit something on the wall and tie himself. But pieces of rock were hitting his head. In fact, he had a big wound in his skull. He almost fainted, but he held on. And he just flattened himself to the wall as much as he could so that the rocks falling will not hit him and take him down. The other one underneath, there was nowhere to run to. Down to run quickly right under the rock face. You know when something is falling down, it falls a little bit and it falls. So that one to run to the bottom of the rock face. I was just hugging and hoping nothing would happen. By the time the rock finished, the one on the rock looked down to see that his friends were okay. And Peter was there. He was there. I imagine what could have gone through his mind. He started as a belayer. He finished the job of a belayer. Because the person belaying has the life of the person on the rock in his hands. And he had the option, as the rock was falling, to leave what he was doing and do as the other friend was doing. Run to safety. But somehow he knew doing that would cause the life of his friend. And he had put his life in his hands when he started climbing and explaining. And Peter stood his ground and he got squashed. Oftentimes people will make fun of it. He was being a hero, and heroes die. Oftentimes living is taken as if it's, living is just more than just living. And that's part of how we understand as I go through the power of how to see things through. Some would make a joke of it. I was being a hero. You know, heroes die. And the villains continue living. It's a bad joke. Well, Peter died. When they wanted the other one on the ground, on the rock, to come down, guess what happened? Even in his death, his hand was locked on the rope. And they had to use pliers to open his hand. Somebody who just died. It's not as if the government is accepting. And everything is. He wheeled himself and held his hand that if a rock hits him and he faints, he doesn't want to open his hand and let the rope slip through his hand and his friend will crash down and die as well. And even as he walks, crushed under the rock, he had his hand tight around that rope, still in that locked position. They had to use a plier to remove it. His friend who survived said it was like, even in death, he still protected him and held on. He saw the job of a belayer through. He didn't give up. 1990, we were supposed to go to youth camp. But there was an exam. And a friend of mine, a guy who was eventually going to be my best man when I was getting married, in the same school, was also to go with me. He too was having an exam. And so the entire staff left, and campers left for camp. And we couldn't live with them. A day after they left, the exam was postponed by 2 weeks. My friend and I said, you know, we can go to camp. Youth camp was in Jos then. 17 hours by road. If you take public transport, probably more. And so we started with this zest, this energy, this desire. We are going to be at youth camp. I used to handle wilderness skills. When I take a campers out on a trek of almost 5 hours through the wilderness, hills, rolling plains, and then we'll camp overnight in a particular place, the bonfire, we'll cook our food, get water. The next day, we'll bring them back. And I think my friend then was teaching volleyball or something, but we were serving at camp. And we wanted to be a part of camp that year. And so we left, gathered money, and we took the vehicle from Nigeria and started going to Jos. 3 hours out of Lagos, our vehicle broke down, the luxurious bus. It broke down. And they were going to fix it. And we were there morning, afternoon, evening. We slept overnight in that place. The following day, they still continued working on the vehicle, waiting for it to be fixed. And we did not leave that place until around 4 o'clock the next day. We were like 3 hours away from Lagos. And camp was just a full 2 weeks then. It was a 2 weeks camp. So we had wasted like 3 days already. It never even entered our mind to go back to Lagos. When the vehicle was fixed and we continued going, we got to just the last point before camp, which is roughly almost about 2 hours or so to where camp was. It was like after 8. We trekked through the wilderness. When everywhere looked similar, we could easily have gotten lost. But it was fortunate then that as a wilderness skill instructor, I love wilderness things. And I could navigate and I fixed the position of camp for years using the stars in the sky. And I could understand how to get us there by navigating with the stars. When we walked into camp about 9:30, we were about finishing dinner. The shouts and the applause and the joy of everybody to see us made all the stress we went through worth it. But you know what the most satisfying feeling was? That we decided we were going to get to camp. Even though it took us 4 days for it's supposed to be a day and a half journey, we felt we started something and we saw it through. So what it is that makes us start something and stop in the middle or finish it? That's an example we'll see in scripture, this situation as well. And it's in the name of someone that probably we may not even remember. This man's name was mentioned 3 times in scripture. And if we can look at the life of that individual and learn some lessons from it, perhaps it can help us understand and develop that power to see it through. While it is true that on our own, we cannot serve God as He wants. While it is true that we need God's Spirit to help us, but God is not the one doing everything for us. If He was the one doing everything, what is the purpose of putting us through trials? If it was God, who is the one who is going to take us through everything, why will He continue to allow us to go through trials and tests where we must choose? Right? Where we must choose to not give up, but to see things through. Why will it be required, as Christ said, to endure to the end if it is God who is the one who is going to do everything for us? I hope I'm making sense. If it is God that will take us through everything, and there's nothing we can do, we're just there for the ride. All we need to do is just do like this, and God is going to carry us on His back and take us through to the end. Why will He say endure to the end? It shows that there's something we have to do as well, isn't it? There's a path, there's something we need to have. There has to be a power, a spirit, an attitude that is intrinsic to us, that God will use and allow His Spirit to work with, to see us to the end. Remember that it is only those who endure to the end that will be rewarded, that will be saved. It is a quality or a power or an ability that is from us as well. So we need to understand how each of us can have that power to see it. It's not enough to just, we embrace it. Yeah, with a passion. Oh, we love it. Yes, we are running this race. We need to have the staying power to see it to the end. How many of us are familiar with the name Demas? Demas was mentioned 3 times in scripture. And the way he was mentioned tells us something. And I bet you'll see all of us are quite familiar, whether we know it or not, with Demas. All of us can be Demas. And all of us need to not be Demas. Because Demas didn't have the power to see things through. We need to have the power to see it through. And I'm hoping at the end, we will understand what is required for us to be able to see things through, have this power. Psychologists said that people who are classified as heroes, in a research that was done in an article published in the Wall Street Journal in 2012, it says people who have the power to see things through have, because of experience, training, and an internal ability and fortitude . to act with courage, to act with hope, calm, stamina, and ingenuity in difficult situations. They have a strong, emotionally secure mind. They are highly emotionally intelligent. Those are the kind of people that are able to see things through. They have experience. Again, training. And of course, there is something inside them that gives them that ability. There are people who are hopeful. They don't get discouraged easily. They will hope against hope. They are some of those people who have this ability to see things through. Hope is a key part of it. Okay? Let's turn to Philemon chapter 24. Verse 24. There's only one chapter in Philemon. The book of Philemon, verse 24. Philemon, verse 24. We see a name mentioned there by Paul. Paul said, as do Mark, Aristarchus, Demas, Luke, my fellow laborers. So he mentioned this name, Demas, one of four names. And what did he call them? What did Paul call them? My fellow workers, my fellow laborers. So they are working together. They started a journey together. And Paul, you can feel the camaraderie there. You can feel the joy. You can feel the personal connection. My fellow laborers. It's like saying we are fellows in the same environment, the same ship, in the same boat. That's how Paul described Demas with Luke and the rest of them. Okay? Turn to Colossians chapter 4, verse 14. This was Paul in prison in Rome. And he mentioned the people who are with him. Okay? So, Colossians chapter 4, verse 14. That is the second mentioning of this man, Demas. Colossians 4:14. Look at the description here. Luke, the beloved physician, and Demas greet you. Oh, come on. Put in a little bit of imagination. In the first mentioning, Paul was in Rome, a prisoner for roughly 2 years plus before his head was removed. And he mentioned those who are with him laboring and working to support him as his co-workers. And he mentioned them as my fellow laborers. In the next mentioning, he said, Luke, the beloved physician. It's like saying, my dear friend Luke and Demas. My beloved friend Luke. Oh, Luke, the beloved, the physician that is lovable, that is really there, that is really great, that's really wonderful. My dear Luke and Demas. It has moved from my fellow laborer. It has become Demas. Last mention, 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 10. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 10. Second Timothy 4, verse 10. What does verse 10 say? For Demas has forsaken me, having loved this present world, and has departed for Thessalonica, Crescens for Galatia, Titus for Dalmatia. There's a special mention of Demas here. The special mention is by the qualification he added to it. For Demas has forsaken me. Demas has forsaken me. This is a promising disciple, a co-worker with Paul who started with him. They must have done a lot together. And when Paul was in prison, he with Luke and some others were the ones who are rallying around him, continue to help him as he continues to do what he is supposed to do there. He was teaching and preaching that the guards, you read that in the book of Philippians, and all the people around there understood why he was there, that he was a prisoner for Christ, a political prisoner. And they were the one encouraging him and been there with him. And when he first mentioned him, it's like, Demas, my fellow brother. The next time he mentioned him was just Demas. You can almost sense there is, maybe you can already see some of the characteristics. This person started well, but he's slowing down. He's not as devoted. Maybe he's not as he's supposed to be. He's not as persistent, steady as he should be. And by the time you mention him the third time, finally he's gone away. He's gone away. It's interesting that if you look at one of the parables of Luke, there's a story about someone building a tower. In Luke 14, when he was talking about counting the cost. That story of somebody wants to build a tower who does not sit down, count the cost, to see whether he has enough to be able to finish it. That story was told only by Luke. Mark didn't write it. John didn't write it. Matthew didn't write it. Remember that Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were not written while they were moving around with Jesus Christ. They were written about 20 years, 20-something years after Christ had died and gone. Perhaps Luke, in writing and putting down the accounts of his interaction with Jesus Christ, remember the situation where a good, dear friend of his, that they started together very well, that they had passion together for what they were doing. Somewhere along the line, started getting distracted, started losing staying power, and eventually walked away. You know, according to tradition, Demas left the Christians. He went back to where he was converted from, Thessalonica, and he became a priest of a pagan god. This was someone who started well, with energy, with zest, with love in their heart. Somewhere along the line, something happened and they started getting distracted. The energy started waning. The zeal started slowing down. Other things started taking preeminence. And Paul explained what? Having loved this present world. What this world offers. What we can gain. What one can get. The advantages that are visible in this world right now, the desires, aspirations, and goals are the things that began to attract Demas, and he began to slow down in his race, and he couldn't see it through to the end. He started sleeping. Sleeping as in falling down, not sleeping as in sleep. Some of us, frankly, could be Demas, as I said. And all of us probably know maybe where we have been. No, oftentimes when we sit down and we look at our lives, I don't know how many of you often take stock. Maybe you sit down, take stock, and look at where did I start? Where am I now? And where am I going to be? Are we as passionate? Are we as dedicated? Are we as zealous? Are we as touched by the things of God, by the things that moved us, by the same passion that drove us when we first started this journey, this walk, this road to Christ? Are you? I know I'm not. If we look at Demas, I would think, can you imagine? What a guy. I think we should start by turning and looking at ourselves. When you first receive this knowledge, or the call, or the touch of God, or the desire to find the truth, when it started with us, how was our passion? Have we started sleeping a bit? Have we fallen down a bit? Are we still as strong and passionate for the things of God as we once were? Or are we in the position where Demas was when Paul described him and said, you know, our beloved physician Luke and Demas? Well, the guy is already behaving somehow. I don't understand what is wrong with him. I don't know, is he here or is he there? Maybe before, when we need someone to go and do this thing over there, he's standing up. I'm ready. Here I am. Here am I. Send me. But nowadays, when we say, we need volunteers to go and do this. And you know, when you ask for volunteers, you don't call. I need you come. They do that in the military. Okay? I need 12 volunteers to go and do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 10. And they start calling names. But you know, when you truly want people to do things from the heart, you ask for volunteers. And even though you want people to do it, you don't still tell them to do it. You wait and let them say, okay, I'm here, let me do it. Perhaps Demas was ready at that level. When Paul could see that he's not as passionate, he's getting a bit more distant, a bit more withdrawn. He's becoming more involved in his own things, in his own ideals. He's facing other things more than he's facing the things of God. Perhaps that is what he was. We should consider ourselves and look at ourselves as well. Are we beginning to lose that thing inside us that will make us be able to endure to the end, to be able to see things through? A beautiful beginning is good. It's wonderful. But nothing matters in this life without a good end. Every time I attend a wedding, every time I officiate a wedding, I look back and I'm praying. When I consider the degree of energy, the fanfare that people put in the wedding, I've seen weddings where the entire wedding reception is like an entertainment gala. The bridesmaid and the groomsmen, the way they will come in, the things they will do, and all the paparazzi and all the whatever that is done, it's memorable. That's awesome. You can see the passion of the man and the woman, the bride and groom, for one another, and it's great to behold. And I just pray that God will help them to see and have what it takes to see it through. Without a good end, without staying power, without that steady character to see things through, what is the value of life? What is the importance of things? To start something and then forget it along the way. Imagine if you have a friend who will start a project and then halfway through will start something else and say, hey, what about that thing? What? Which thing? You can't even remember what you started and then. Without that power to see things through, you know that in the Garden of Gethsemane, the story of Christ and our redemption would have ended, isn't it? What would have been the advantage? What would have been the benefits of all the suffering of Christ? Of the fact that he emptied himself of the divine nature he had with God, came down, became a man, and all the times he lived, and when he was a carpenter under his father, he hit his hand with a nail or with a hammer. All the ridicule, the abuse, the insult, the denial, the fasting, and everything had gone through. And in the Garden of Gethsemane, as the time was upon him, and the trouble was there, and the pressure was there, and he was praying, such that the Bible says he was sweating like drops of blood. What he been praying? I said, God, I can see this thing that is coming. My body is doing jiggy, 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 jiggy. They never start beating me, but hey, Father, please, I don't want to go through this thing. I cannot go through this thing. I beg, big go, mbano. What if at that point when it was all upon him, Christ didn't have that same power? What did he do? He prayed to God, right? And asked, please, if there's any other way, if there's a way I cannot take this cup, please let it be so. But you know what? He was able to say, not my will, but thy will. The Bible says God sent an angel to encourage him. If he didn't have that power in him to say, no, I will see these things through, even though I don't want to, I don't feel like, it's difficult for me to go and do it, but because it is what I have set myself to do, I will see it through. It had to come from him. And to have that kind of power, that kind of mindset that allows us to see things through is key, is important. It's like when you're trying to cut a tree or break a stone with a hammer, and you keep hitting it. You know, every hit continues to weaken the stone or cut part of the tree off, isn't it? But there's a final blow, right, that will shatter the stone or fall the tree down. If you don't have the staying power to deliver that final one, what is the point of all the energy and everything that we have done so far? Okay? Now that's a tragedy. So what are the things that can give us that staying power? What is the thing that will give us that staying power? I mentioned it to start with the beginning. The first thing is this: ability to focus on the goal. Ability to focus on the goal. In that same 2 Timothy that we read, chapter 4, verse 10, Paul said, "For Demas has forsaken me, having loved this present world." Having loved this present world. His focus shifted. Something else was more important. He couldn't focus on what he wanted to do. And that focus that shifted was what made him start straying. There was something more important. There was something that is more important than what he wants to achieve. How can this affect us? I want you to turn to Jeremiah chapter 5. Jeremiah chapter 5. I'll read from verse 1. God sent Jeremiah to the children of Israel. His task was to go and talk to them about the things of God. So convict them of what they were doing so that they can turn to God. And he was called when he was a young man. From verse 1 of the chapter 1, we know. And so let's see what is happening here. Run to and fro through the streets of Jerusalem. See now and know, and seek in her open places. If you can find a man, if there is anyone who executes judgment, who seeks the truth, and I will pardon her. Jeremiah was saying, I have been doing all you asked me to do. I have been talking to these people. I have been preaching and telling them they must change and do and follow your will. But God, I can't see anyone. They're not listening. They're not responding. Look around. See if you find one person who is ready to do things the way you want. I keep talking and there is no response. Verse 2. Even though they say, as the Lord lives, surely they swear falsely. All of them will say, yes, God lives, and they will call God's name. But you know what? It's all a lie. They're not interested. They don't care. They are all concerned with doing what they want, not what you want. What is the point of all this talking? I've been doing this passionately. They don't even respect me. They don't want to listen to me. Verse 3, O Lord, are not your eyes on the truth? But can't you see what is happening? He's saying, you have stricken them, but they have not grieved. You have consumed them, but they have refused to receive correction. They have made their faces harder than rock. They have refused to return. You punish them. You withdraw your support. You try to be tough with them. You correct them, but they refuse to listen. They are too stubborn. Verse 4, therefore I said, surely these are poor. They are foolish, for they do not know the way of the Lord, the judgment of their God. I will go to the great men and speak to them, for they have known the way of the Lord, the judgment of their God. But these have altogether broken the yoke and burst the bonds. He was saying that I decided that, you know what? These people, they are stubborn. They can't listen again. I'm not going to go to them again. Let me go to better ones. People who are expected to be more responsible. And yet, still, they are stubborn. They don't listen. They don't listen. Incidentally, many of them, even if you read the entire story, it got to the point where they even told Jeremiah, you get out from among us. Turn to it got to the point that most of those people started saying to Jeremiah, we don't want to hear from you again. We're tired of you telling us what you're telling us. In fact, if you don't get out from this town, we will kill you. And you could see if you read through this journal quietly, the frustration that was building in Jeremiah. Under that circumstances, wouldn't you think it's okay for Jeremiah to get discouraged and just walk away? I mean, God, you told me to do this. I'm doing what you asked me to do, but I'm looking at all of it. The results I'm getting is totally the opposite. I'm discouraged. Forget about it. I don't want it again. You know when that will happen? His focus will have shifted. Who is the person talking to him? You know when God was going to respond to Jeremiah? You know how God responded to him? It's interesting the way God responded to Jeremiah. God didn't tell Jeremiah, okay, Jeremiah, it's okay. You need to bear this well. Let me not discourage you, but here's what you need to understand. Here's what is happening. Let's look a little bit at what God told him. God told Jeremiah, my friend, so you are discouraged because of this simple thing that is happening, right? Okay, let's see what will happen. Turn to Jeremiah chapter 12. Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 1. Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 1. Pick up the story from there. Righteous are you, O Lord, when I plead with you, yet you let me talk with you about your judgments. Why does the way of the wicked prosper? Why are those happy who deal so treacherously? You have planted them, yes, they have taken root. They grow, yes, they bear fruit. You are near in their mouth, but far in their mind. But you, O Lord, know me. You have seen me. You have tested my heart towards you. Pull them out like sheep for the slaughter. Prepare them for the day of slaughter. How long will the land mourn and the herbs of every field wither? The beasts and birds are consumed. The wickedness of those who dwell there, because they said they will not see our final end. It's like saying, God, you know what is happening. I keep talking to these people, they are not listening. And nothing wrong is happening, nothing bad happens to them. They are prospering, they are okay, they are not having any problems. So God, please, deal with them. Jeremiah is his focus is shifting from the person who sent him. He's getting frustrated and angry. And he's lifting his face from the reason why he was sent and the person who sent him. Look at God's response. In his frustration, in his anger. And you may think this is righteous anger, right? I mean, you are given a task. And you go and do this task. And instead of being rewarded, you are getting ridiculed. You are putting yourself out on behalf of this. God wants to punish them, wants to destroy them, wants to do this. And you are telling them they must turn back, whereas this will happen to them. And yet nothing is happening to them. And they are even abusing you. In fact, they told you, get out of here. If you don't, we'll kill you. And the person was getting frustrated. When God was going to respond to Jeremiah, look at God's response in verse 5. If you have run with the footmen, and they have wearied you, how can you contend with horses? If in the land of peace, in which you trusted, they wearied you, how will you do in the floodplain of Jordan? It's like God was saying, look at you. Look at you. So, this small thing that is happening, you are raising your blood pressure like this. What if you see a real problem? What's your problem? Why are you putting your mind? What are you focusing on? You are focusing on the wrong things. The God who sent you is God Almighty. He knows all. He can do all. He knows what he's doing. And when he sent you to go do a job, focus on that job and do it. And remember, I am sovereign God. anytime we take our eyes away from the goal, we start sleeping. We begin to draw back. And the power that is supposed to allow us to see things through will die. Demas probably looked at all the stresses they were going through. The risks to their lives. Paul in prison. One of the champions of the gospel. And he started seeing the joys and the benefits and the blessings of the other people who are the leaders of other gods, right? And he figured, you know, I am supposed to be one of the fellow laborers with this guy. And yet, look at our chief laborer. He's in prison. But look at those other people there. They're enjoying. Things are okay for them. He's shifting his face from what he was supposed to focus on. So the first thing is we must always make sure that our minds, our eyes, our mindset, everything is focused on the goal. For us as Christians, the goal is the kingdom of God, isn't it? That is the goal. And God says it is His pleasure to give us that kingdom. The second thing that can help people have that staying power is to actually totally be taken or be in love with that which is the goal. They have to love that which they want to do more than themselves. They have to be taken with that concept, that goal, that project. It has to be such that it is higher than anything else they can put. You know, Paul said that he considered everything a loss simply because he has Christ in his life. When we wanted to go to youth camp then, it wasn't just that we desired to be at camp. It wasn't just a fancy. It wasn't just a something we wish we could do this, we want to do this. If it was, the moment everybody left and they couldn't take us with them, no problem. We have other things to do. No, it was more than us just being at camp. It was a passion that encompassed us. It was bigger than us. It was something that was bigger than us. We were committed to that thing beyond just that we want to be at camp. That was the goal. Yeah, we want to be there. But if we say we want to be there, but the desire is not bigger than us, or bigger than any obstacle we may find, we cannot see it through. We cannot see it through. We have to have this mentality of this thing we want to do, this thing we are committed to, is bigger than us. You know what prompted Christians to be willing to allow themselves in the 1st, 2nd century AD to actually be killed for the sake of the gospel? Because what they believed in is bigger than them. It's not just about me living. It's not about being a hero and being a villain. It's about God and what He offers us, and they understood the concept. They are invested in it, and it is bigger than them. And if they need to die for it, they will die for it. Paul said to live is for him to serve the brethren. Say, but for him to die is to actually be with Christ. That he would prefer to even die and actually be in a position where he can be with Christ, which means, of course, he's resting. And when the trumpet sounds, he will be resurrected to be with Christ. But if he's alive, well, he will simply be able to do more and be able to serve the brethren. To live for him, he said, is gain to the people. But for him to die, actually gain for him. It is more than just living. Someone who wants to do marathon, if you read the interview of some of these people who win the marathon, it's not just to run in the marathon. It's not even just the money. There is something bigger than them, that they will run and push their bodies, even when they feel like they're going to die, that their muscles will fall down, will cramp. They just keep on. Their mindset is like, no, I cannot quit. That personal sense of being attached to what they want to do that is bigger than them is what pushes people to see things through. And as God's children, if indeed we want to be able to see things through, To be able to see ourselves enduring to the end. What it is that I want now? What am I missing now? What am I not getting now? What are the inconveniences I am facing now? They will pale to nothing because we'll see that, you know what? Okay, what we want, what I'm aiming for, is bigger than all of this. And I will not quit. And all of this starts in the mind. All of this starts in the mind. You have to have that mindset that I'm not going to quit. And you have to have this passion, this desire that will drive us to the point where we are willing to lay down our lives for this world we believe in. Colossians 3:16. It says, let the word of God dwell in you richly, in all its richness. It's talking about depth. It's talking about something that has taken root. Remember the parable of the sower again. The seed that fell on the rock. It had roots, but the roots could not do what? They could not penetrate. They could not go down. They could not go down, 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 such that when the heat comes up, and there's no water, the root is deep enough that it continues to get sustenance. So we need to be into God. We need to be into what we have been called to in such a passionate way, beyond the surface. You know how many Christians start out loving God and His will and His ways and knowledge, and they're so passionate about it. 2 years down the line, 1 year down the line, 4 years down the line, they are not studying, they are not growing, they are not developing. They are busy chasing so many other things. They have no time to continue to dig. And the vision that they started with, it begins to fade. It begins to pale. It's like if you have a glass and you buy it for the first time and you clean it and it's good. 5 years down the line, is it still as clear as it used to be? It will only stay that clear if constantly we are constantly cleaning it. We don't leave it for too long. Oftentimes people are so busy, they wake up in the morning, they don't have time to read a single portion of scripture. Because they have to wake up, they have to dress up, they have to bath, they have to ready, they have to hit the road by 5 a.m. And they're working all through, they come back, they're tired, they're watching news, they're doing this, they don't have time again to study the Bible. So the only way we can have this passion that is bigger than us, that will make everything else pale in comparison, and put in us that ability to endure and push things through and see things to the end, is when we are focusing on the goal and actually making sure that goal, our passion and love for it is bigger than us. It's bigger than us. It goes beyond us. Peter Terbush, Mike May, people like Nick Villakovic or whatever I call his name, right? The guy who was born without arms and feet, and so many others like them, who have physical disabilities, who have challenges, and yet they push through in their lives to accomplish greatness, had something in them that was bigger than just what they wanted. It's bigger than them. Go look at Nick's life and look at he's a motivational speaker and goes around the world encouraging people and talking to people about the love of God. And for them to think of God loving them more than. This is a guy who was born without arms and legs. He has like flippers. And he's talking about God's love. It doesn't come naturally. It comes by a deep study of God's word. An immersion in that which they believed in. It's not just to take it on the surface. People who win marathon don't win it simply because they wanted to win money. It goes beyond the money. There is this encompassing passion that goes beyond them. If I truly want to sculpt my body and begin to work on that gym machine and bring down the love handles and have 6-pack or 8-packs or 12 packs. It will, believe you me, if the passion, if it goes beyond just something I want to do. Whether I do it or I don't do it, I know, there are some people bigger than me. Some people have bigger tummy than mine. So what's the big deal? I look in the mirror, it's not really that bad. But if it is to me, something really passionate, I want to stand in the mirror and see the 6 packs there. I can do like this and see the muscles. And if it's such a passion, I will create time for it. Believe you me. I know people who would wake up at 6 a.m. and they're at the gym till almost 8 o'clock. And they still have to go to work. They have a busy work. And they come back in the evening and they're in the gym 2 days a week. Frankly, I used to just admire because I'm always seeing videos. That's their passion. See? Why is the passion there? There's a goal. Sometimes I see one of my friends who does this. He will put a picture of his legs. See, this is why I do leg curl. And he's showing all the muscles on his thigh. And then he will show his hand and do like this. And I'm like, wow. It's his passion. It goes beyond just, I want to have six packs. No, it's like, I want to look like this. It's something that is beyond just, I desire to, I want to, okay? And if our love of God and the things that we value or the things we want to accomplish doesn't just go beyond just there to do it, we can't have that power to see it through. We can't have that power to see it through. A third factor that is a power that gives people ability to be able to see things through is this concept of hope. Hope. Hope is a small word. The Bible talks of faith, hope, and love and says the greatest of this is love, but hope is still one of the three top characters to have. Romans chapter 5, verse 4. Romans chapter 5, let's start from verse 3. And not only that, it says we glory in the troubles we have, we glory in our tribulation, knowing that tribulation produces perseverance, and perseverance produces character, and character, hope. Then verse 5 says the hope does not disappoint, because the love of God has been poured in our hearts by the Holy Spirit who was given to us. When we have hope, hope means it doesn't look good, but you believe it will be good. It's not looking rosy, but you refuse to be discouraged. I still have hope that I have six pack. And because I'm keeping that hope alive, my mind keeps telling me I need to design a plan. I need to decide and start and let this desire build into the point where I need to get to this. If we have hope and we never lose hope, then we can always get back to something we have left behind and we'll be able to see it through. Remember, starting is not the key thing. Being able to see it to the end is the most important thing. Heroes are said to be people who have an almost unending hope. Things that make others afraid. Things that make others think of what could go wrong also happens to them. They know this could go wrong. They understand that there could be disappointment. But they choose to push those things away. And they never give up hoping. We keep watching recently, Bobby and I, we're watching Supergirl. And they are faced with situations and challenges that is like, there's no way, this is the end. This is the end. And guess what Kara will say, Supergirl will say? It's okay. We will get through this. You know, I promise, we'll get through this. Now, I used to hate them saying, I promise. How can you promise? You can't promise. But I like it when they say, we're going to get through this. Even if it looks as if we're going to die. Everybody's going to die. There's no solution. Our verse will say, we're going to get through this. The sister will say, Alex will say, we're going to get through this. When one person is getting discouraged, one person, no, it's okay, don't worry. We will find a way. There has to be a way. There has to be a way. Hope, hope, hope. Always believing that there is a possibility. You never give up. You never give up. That is one of the things that give us that power to see things through. You notice I'm trying as much as possible to try to get us to see this in a way that is practical. And just using very few scriptures to buttress this. God expects us to be able to endure to the end. And we need to have that power in us. To have that power in us, we have to learn to understand first and focus on the goal that is set before us. Like Paul said, I leave the things that are behind and I'm reaching forward to that thing that is before me. You are setting your mind on that thing which is there. So when all things are happening and it seems to be making you discouraged, stop and say, okay, wait. What is the purpose for which I am going through this? Why am I enduring this? Why do I need to do this? Realign yourself. It's natural when you are driving on the road. You know where you're going, and the road is this way. And then you notice the vehicle is turning this way. It's natural, isn't it? What do? You turn the steering back. But if you don't even know where the road is, how will you know where to turn to when the steering is turning this way? You just let the steering turn wherever it turns and keep taking wherever you go. So we need to, first of all, like I said, learn to focus on the goal. Second thing is we need to be committed beyond just a desire to have or a desire to do. We need to have the passion such that it is larger than us, bigger than us. It is when that is bigger than us, it becomes something intrinsic that we are willing to actually give it all it takes and allows us to see it through. And the way that happens is to immerse ourselves, fill our heads with knowledge, understanding. In this way, in this concept, when it comes to the Word of God, to study God's Word, to understand the promises, to see how He works, to understand that here's what He wants us to do, and everything that happens to us, and all that we're going to go through is all ultimately for Him to take us where He wants to take us, to refine us, to purify us, and all for our good. All for our good. To use an example that I used in one of the daily posts that I put on the website, Moses' desire was to free the children of Israel when he learned that they were slaves. I was one of them. The desire was strong, yes, but it wasn't according to knowledge. To the point where he went and killed an Egyptian and they sent him away. But it was a desire that he wanted, something he really desired. It wasn't larger than life yet, because he ran away from Egypt when they were going to kill him, and he lived in the wilderness for 40 years. Did we read in anywhere in that 40 years that he was trying to raise up an army to come and free the children of Israel? He knows they're suffering, but he's accepted that, you know what, well, this is my life. Probably, I imagine that in those 40 years, as he's moving around with sheep in the wilderness, sitting down sometimes and watching the sheep as they are eating grasses and playing, say, wow, and I was a prince in Egypt. I know how many people used to follow me. The expedition that I took to Ethiopia, that we got a lot of things and we captured them. All the warriors I used to command. Now, wow. Now my life in this year. Well, to say I have not gone and decided to free these people. Said, okay. He may have accepted, he may have resigned to the fact that, well, I tried, but you know what will I do? And then God came into the picture. And God sent him. Moses bought into that story of God. He bought into it, and it was beyond just a desire. He understood this is God. God of Abraham, God of Isaac, God of Israel. The one who said, I am that I am. God let him understand this story, this vision of it. And he didn't just, well, I really understand what you're trying to say, but except that, I've been living my life quietly for the past 40 years. At least I have a nice wife, I have 2 kids, and, I'm not in the prince in Egypt, but I don't think I want to go challenge the greatest power in the world in my time, the greatest power, Pharaoh, like challenging President Trump. Nah. You know what, God, I understand, but you know what, sorry, I pass. He bought into it. He bought into it. He even left his wife and his children to lead the people of God. It was not just that I want to. No, he focused on God. When they were before the Blue Sea, the Red Sea, and the Pharaoh's army behind them, and the people were afraid. What did Moses do? He focused. He turned to God and said, God, okay, what do you want me to do? God said, will you stop praying and tell the children of Israel to go forward? But forward is water now. When God said go forward, all right, let's go forward. Maybe we'll drown in the water. I can imagine. And they will step forward. I'm sure the people probably were staying behind me. But God has said go forward. And I know he's seeing there. Maybe he wants us to swim. Okay, I don't know how to go. We'll go inside. And he went, and probably as he was pushing his leg forward, the water will recede, and then the wind blew and it blew and it blew the sea open. He focused on it. And the scripture says Moses talks to God face to face. He's constantly seeking God's face. And that must have given him that confidence, that level of commitment to God that goes beyond just a passing desire to please God or to free God's children. It was something that was larger than his life. He would die for it. If not for that knowledge and that understanding and that passion in him, when he went and struck the rock, like he did the first time, rather than speak to it as he was supposed to do, and God said you will not enter the promised land. You know how harsh that would have been, how upsetting that would have been. I mean, God, this is totally unfair. I mean, how could you do that? But you know, he knew this was God. His plans for me are good plans. He recognized he is the one who said he will take us to this place. And he must have understood God's plan to let him be a part of those who will rule this world. That was his focus. He refused to get discouraged and walk away from God. He pleaded with God 3 times to let him enter the promised land. God said, Moses, let me tell you this. If I hear me again about this thing, similar to that. I mean, God said, Moses, I don't want to hear anything about this subject again, okay? Like I said, if I hear me, I think that's where I'm not at. If I hear me, just go up to that mountain and stand there and you can look and look and look and look. That's all. You only see with your eye, but you don't enter there. He didn't get offended. And he came back, and his focus was there, his passion was there, and he saw things through. He discharged his duty, told the children of Israel all he could tell them before it was finally put to rest. The power to see things through requires that we not only learn to focus on what's important, we learn to have a passion that goes beyond us, that is larger than us. It's about that thing which we are committed to. That is part of what helps. And of course, let us immerse ourselves and open our minds to all the knowledge and experience that will allow us to constantly see why we can rearrange ourselves, keep ourselves there. And once we're like that, you hope in always that things will work out. That things will work out. And we know our hope can be real, isn't it? Because we have a God who said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. A God who says that it is my pleasure to give you the kingdom. The one who says, I will carry you, I will sustain you, even to your old age. The one who says that I have made you, I have formed you, I have called you, you are mine. The one who says, I will give men's life in ransom for you. The one who says, I have formed you, I have protected you, fearfully and wonderfully made, even while you are in your mother's womb. The God who says, when I decree, says when he says something, he will bring it to pass. The one who says his plans are what? To give us a good life. To give us good things. To give us hope. And that which we expect. So we can use those 3 concepts of focusing on that which is important, which is God and his kingdom. Developing a passion that is bigger than us, and loving God larger than life. You know, Christ said, if you give up mother, brother, sister, father, land, whatever it is, for my sake, you will gain it 100-fold in this life. With persecution itself, and the world to come eternal life. Focus on that thing. Embrace it. To embrace that, to let that passion go beyond us, we must study God's word and see the depth, the length, the breadth, and everything about what he's asking us to do. that makes us to be a part, not just when I'm free, when it's possible, when it's convenient, when it's ideal, I'm committed to this. But, there are other things that, are more important. That was the problem of Demas. And all of us could be Demas. We could one be the beloved laborer, my fellow laborer. And one moment we could all be, that person, because you're not sure. Is he or she here or there? The passion is waning. We could eventually become, this is our beloved person who loved the world and have decided to walk away from God. Or walk away from God. May God not let us walk away from Him. May He give us all the ability, the power, and the focus to be able to see things through. Even in our individual personal lives, you have a project. Apply those 3 same principles. Why do I want to do this thing? Understand why. Develop a passion for why. That passion comes from knowledge, from experience, from learning all you can about why you want to do it and why you should do it. And letting that desire and that passion be bigger than us. And never losing that hope that we will be able to accomplish it, irrespective of the obstacles. And we'll be able to see things through. The power to see things through depends on us. Okay? Yes, God will bless us. He will empower us. He will amplify that which is in us. But we must have that power in us. We have something to do to be able to endure to the end, to be able to see things through. And we need to keep on striving on a daily basis to develop that power. Sabbath shalom.
Brethren, we thank our Heavenly Father for that message given to us by our pastor, Mr. Aludari Akinto. Brethren, we have come to the end of today's hour service. For our last theme of today, please rise up with me with your Bible hymn and turn to hymn 167. Hymn 167. Stand fast in the faith, be brave, be strong. 1 Corinthians 16, verse 13. After this hymn, I would like to call on Mr. Leonard to go for the closing prayer. God will see us through.
We all know that and fears, life is full of toil and tears. Still we're told, have no fears, God will see us through. See the birds on the wing, see the living floats on me, God loves all living things, God will see us through. In the man shall grow, love of many showers fall, ever first we shall hold, God will see us through. It shall grow dark and drear, Jacob's trouble shall appear, to the end, through the years, God will see us through. Till Christ comes, we'll endure, leaving God's way true and pure. Day by day, come what may, God will see us through. Earth may shake, stars may fall, we will stand right through it all, till the last trumpet call, God will see us through.
Our Heavenly Father, the Father of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, we are indeed thankful to you for bringing us to the end of today's Sabbath service. Thank you for your grace and your mercy upon us all. Thank you for all that you have done for us throughout the course of today's Sabbath service. We say that your name continually be praised forever and ever. Our Heavenly Father, we especially thank you for the spiritual meal that you have fed us with. Thank you for reminding us once again that it is one thing to start, but it is another thing to finish. Our Heavenly Father, as you have called us to seek the kingdom of God, help us to continue and also to finish and enter the kingdom of God, that we may not be found wanting in your kingdom. As you have spoken to us, help us to put into practice all the words that you have spoken unto our hearing, that in hearing your word and doing your word, we will continue to be blessed. We also remember our brothers who are at home joining us for this service. We ask for your blessings upon them all. Our Heavenly Father, as we are about to depart to our various homes, we ask your blessings to go with us. May you grant us journey mercies back to our respective homes. May the blessings that comes from keeping your Sabbath be upon us. And may we find grace in your sight, that we may return here next week to continue to give thanks and praises unto your holy name. All this we put before thee in the name